All right, so today we are going to be learning about slope. So slope is a review from last year, but you should all remember this formula. This is the way to calculate slope when given two coordinate points. So with that being said, let's review slope. So the definition of slope is the ratio of a line's vertical rise to its horizontal run. So since it's a ratio, we can write this like this: vertical rise to horizontal run. Vertical rise over horizontal run. So think about you getting out of a chair. Let's say this is the chair. You're sitting in the chair. In order to stand up, in order to, move any sort of distance, in order to move X distance, you need to first stand up, and then you can begin walking. So whenever we are calculating slope, we always want to make sure that we are doing the rise over the run first. So make sure you always need to stand up before you can start walking, okay? So with that being said, slope can also be seen as the rise over the run. We just kind of canceled these two terms out. Just shortened it to the rise over the run. Or the vertical change over horizontal change. I'm just showing all the ways that you're going to be seeing it presented. Or the change in Y over the change in X. Now, what are these two inputs right here? They're going to be coordinates, right? Yes. How many times have we worked with these? Yes, yes, yes. Amazing. Okay. So you can use the coordinates of points on a line to derive a formula for slope. In a coordinate plane, let me draw a coordinate plane. In a coordinate plane, the slope of a line is the ratio of the change along the y-axis to the change along the x-axis. So let's say we have a line that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is A is 5, 5, and B is -3, -2. Okay, so let's draw our little line here. Excellent. Now, this distance right here is going to be 5 units, right? It's 5 units up from the x-axis. And this distance here it won't let me erase the thing. Oh, here we are. Okay. So, all right, there we go. This distance here is the change in the x-axis. So we have the change along the y-axis, change along the y-axis, and this way we have the change along the x-axis. So if we have these two coordinates, 5, 5, which is A, and B, which is -3, -2, we can find the change along the y-axis and the change along the x-axis by plugging these two coordinates into the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or the change in the y's over the change in the x's, as -2, -5, as, sorry, hold on a second. as -2 minus 5 over -3 minus 5. And this will give us a slope of, m is the denotation for slope, m is what we call slope, 7 over 8. So 7 over 8 is the slope. When we found the slope from the coordinates 5, 5, and -3, -2. Now that you saw an example problem, there are 4 different types of slope. There are 4 different types of slope. We have positive slope, which is when the numbers are increasing. We have negative slope, where the line is decreasing. We have an undefined slope, which is where the line is straight up and parallel to the y-axis. And we have a zero slope, where the line is completely horizontal and parallel to the x-axis. So any number that is like y equals 3 will be this. Any line that is like x equals 5 will be this, because the line is going over by 5 every single time. It's never changing. And here, the line is going up by 3 every single time. It's never changing. So a great way to remember this is called Mr. Slope Guy. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but it'll help you remember every single time. Just remember Mr. Slope Guy. He has a positive slope for one eye. He has a negative slope for the other eye. For his nose, he has an undefined slope of a line. For his mouth, he has a flat line with zeros. And this will help you remember all the different types of slope. You have undefined, positive, negative, and zero. Now, what about parallel and perpendicular lines? So, parallel lines have the same slope. We already knew this, but here's an example. So let's say we have 2 lines. This one is y equals 3x plus 5. I'm just making this up. Y equals 3x plus 5 does not look like this line, but it's fine. Y equals 3x plus 2. Okay, so in the equation y equals mx plus b, we see that these 2 lines have the same slope, right? The x coefficient is the same. That is the slope. These lines will never intersect because they have the same unchanging slope. They go forever in time, this way, and they never intersect because they are parallel. If this slope was any different, even by the littlest bit, let's say the slope was negative 2x plus 5, now the slope is like this, and these lines will definitely intersect. So as long as the slope is the same, the lines are parallel, and they will never intersect. So if you've had, 2 different lines, and they both have the same coefficient to the x value, they're going to be parallel. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at 90 degrees. How do we know if a line is perpendicular to another line? Well, the slope of one line would be maybe y equals 3x plus 5. Let's say this is y equals 3x plus 5. The slope of this line, in order for the 2 lines to be perpendicular, would have to be negative 1/3 x plus 5. Now, how did I get this number? How did this come about? Well, here the slope is 3, and here the slope is negative 1/3. So in order for 2 lines to be perpendicular, their slopes need to be negative reciprocals of one another. What is a reciprocal again? Any number. When you flip the fraction, multiplied gives you the first number. So reciprocals are numbers when multiplied together equal 1. So 1/3 times 3 over 1 equals 1. But a perpendicular line has a negative reciprocal. So therefore, it needs to be two numbers that when multiplied together give you -1. So therefore, you need to flip, if the slope is 3, you need to flip the slope, make it 1/3, and then make it negative. So it's a negative reciprocal. So in summation, parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines are negative reciprocals of one another. Okay? So if a line is parallel, y equals mx plus b. Same slope. Y equals mx plus b. They both have m, the same slope. It's for parallel lines. For perpendicular lines, y equals mx plus b. Y equals -1 over mx plus b. Negative reciprocals. All right, and that is our lesson on slope.